Hello and welcome to a new episode of Fic Fiction, a magical bookish podcast for chaotic story goblins like us. This week's episode, you might be able to guess the theme if you're watching us on YouTube. We are talking about the ultimate Christmas gift guide for your bookish besties.
Well, hello, both of you. How are you? How is it going?
Pretty good. Going great. I did a little Christmas shopping today, so mostly we focus on buying for the kids and the family, and everybody else, it's like, if we see something, we will, but it's not really a priority. So I was at the Jellycat Patisserie today buying some gifts for my niece and nephew that are little, and then been brainstorming actually bookish things for my niece who's 17. So mostly focused on that. And then the adults, like, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm so jealous. I want to go to the Jellycat Patisserie.
I was just thinking that.
Right?
It's really cute. It's really cute. It's in the Galerie Lafayette, the super famous department store in Paris, and it's on the kids section, obviously. And you can pick out all these different pastries that are very French, and they will pretend to like make it for you and wrap it. It's like really adorable.
I think the one here is fish and chips.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the London one.
You can get like, get like
it's a London company.
And like mushy peas. Yeah, I think I'd prefer the patisserie though, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I got my nephew, he doesn't listen to podcasts yet, so it's fine. I got him a little macaron, so I'm going to tell him that this is like my favorite dessert to eat in France.
That's so cute.
That's so sweet.
He's also a super like little boy, so we're also getting him like but I'm going to indulge my own fantasy of having a nephew who would want French patisserie stuff.
Exactly.
What about you guys? Do you have a lot to buy for or no?
Yeah, but also no. So we obviously have my side of the family, and then Isaac, my husband, his side of the family, we do Secret Santa because there are just so many of them. Like it's gotten to the point that there's like it's in the double digits at this point in terms of, you know, just his siblings and their kids. So we have each been assigned a Secret Santa, and there is like a price limit, but we got lucky in that we got one of the kids this year, so we're probably going to end up going overboard. Not gonna lie.
That's totally fair. Alex is a really big family as well, so I stayed here in Glasgow for the first time for Christmas last year, and we're staying here again this year. So he has like something like 42 cousins. Like it's ridiculous, and there's more on the way. So we don't get like any of like his cousins and stuff presents. I guess if his parents want to buy them, that's fine. But Alex and I, we kind of do immediate family only. So because I'm not seeing my family, like my home family in Ireland for Christmas this year, I purchased, wrapped, and took over everyone's Christmas presents and birthday presents in August when we went to visit them. So I don't have to buy any Christmas presents for anyone other than Alex, because he got his parents. I gave him an idea, and he got his parents their Christmas present. So, and I've just purchased Alex's, which I'll tell you guys off the pod what I got because I can't, because he listens to this.
Amazing. Look at you! You're so on it, and I haven't even started yet. So
I have no idea what I'm eating with my husband. So I'm pretty impressed.
I'll tell you guys later. I'll let you know what I got. Okay, just really quickly then, before we kick off with today, I was wondering, what have you guys read this week?
So I read the entire Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy this week.
Wow.
Yeah, and I also finished one of the Ice Planet Barbarian books, and I'm still reading Twilight. So that was me.
Nice. For me, I am still reading Twilight, and I have not managed to read anything else, except for I did read one random Harry Potter one shot, but like it was like 1,000 words. It barely counts, and I don't even remember the plot anymore. So didn't do a good job. That was like I have to go to bed, but my brain is too wired situation. So yeah, I haven't finished reading a lot, but as we know, I consider all stories to count, and I did finish Zelda Echoes of Wisdom this week, so that was a win for me. And
amazing.
Finish the storyline. Yeah.
That's great.
Very cute entry in the series, if anyone listening is a Zelda person. The story is, I think, really, really cute. So, and very like
The
about
Echoes
friendship
of
a little
Wisdom,
bit.
that's
So
like,
I
is
like
it
that.
the second one of the other little cartoony style one that they did? Do I have to play the other one first, or can I just jump in straight with Echoes of Wisdom?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're not related at all. So the other one, so Zelda, for the most part, with the exception of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I think they had done this one other time with Majora's Mask and whatever
Yeah.
was the sequel to that. Most of the time, they're completely separate, kind of like the Final Fantasy series is. So this is that case. So Link's Awakening is the other one you're thinking of, and that was a remake of an older one. This is a totally new entry, totally new story, and it's not related to any of the other stories, really.
Working my way through Breath of the Wild. I also have Tears of the Kingdom, and they've just brought out one of the old games on Switch, and I can't remember what the name of it is, but I've got that as well because I used to play on a different console when I was younger. So
yeah, it's cool on a Switch because I have it too, and because you can choose whether you want to use the original motion controls with the Joy-Cons, which I always forget that they're actually motion sensitive, or you can play it with like regular controls, and they're mapped pretty decently.
Yeah, okay. I have read nothing this week. I'll be honest. I think I'm in a slump.
Slay.
I read a little bit of the second Prison
Oh,
Keeper
no.
book. I read a little bit of Serpents and Dove, and I just can't read this week. It's not happening.
Well, I am setting up the Fable for our group read for the Unhinged Christmas Romance, and it will be available on Fable starting Monday. So maybe that will be what takes you out of your book
My
slump.
body wants to reread Fourth Wing.
Well, I am also reading Fourth Wing, so if you want to reread, like, we can share thoughts as I'm going through it.
I might have to.
You say that, but Ali has finished Twilight, so...
Well, that's true. I'm finally, we're on the way to play baseball right now in Twilight where I am, so
yep,
it's kind of exciting. She's very concerned about running through the woods again.
Yeah. I would too. So. Motion sickness girlies unite.
I will say, I know that we'll talk about it once we're through with the series, but I knew very well how quickly everything happens in the series, but I think it's the one thing that's kind of taking me aback is like how quickly. Like, it's not even just that it's like over a few weeks. It's like in the morning, it's like iffy if they're going to be together, and then in the afternoon it's like I could never leave you for the rest of my life. Like, it's really intense.
That too.
So.
Like, at one point they were
crazy.
Like, oh, we can hang out, and the next minute it's like, I would die for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then knowing what's going to happen later, because obviously the first time I read this, and I've done rereads before, but like the first time I read Twilight, you think it's so serious because you're like, yeah, he won't ever leave her. But I know what happens in New Moon. Like, I know what unhinged decisions he's willing to actually make. So it's very interesting. I agree. For sure.
Okay, so today then the whole episode again is going to be Christmassy, the same as last week's. There's going to be multiple Christmas episodes the whole way through December. But what we thought it would be really good to do this time was talk about gifts, because we're now, when this goes up, it'll be the second week of December, and it's now gift buying season, especially for Molly, who hasn't started yet. So what I thought we would start with is a book buying guide. So not bookish items, but books specifically that match a certain number of prompts.
Okay.
So we popped the prompts in to a chat earlier, and I'm sure that we've all come up with a couple of ideas. So what we're going to start with then is a book for a reader who loves enemies to lovers. Okay. So what do you guys have? What did you come up with?
So in terms of enemies to lovers, it's not like the whole plot, but I feel like the Six of Crows duology would fit really well with that, particularly focusing on Nina.
Yeah.
And her story arc in those books.
I have actually never read the duology, but
never.
I believe you. I know. No. I'm actually a huge fan of Shadow and Bone the show, and really mad that it was canceled. But I've never actually dug into her actual books.
I can't believe you've never read it. Six of Crows is that's like a rite of passage.
A masterpiece. It's amazing.
I know. That's what I've heard. And everybody also keeps telling me to just skip the series Shadow and Bone, but
Yeah.
I also like really love the Darkling in the show.
It's not
so
as
I'm
good
kind
in
of
the
like,
books.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
I feel like the Darkling is the only redemption of that trilogy. Especially like the love triangle that goes on in that book. It's very reminiscent of Hunger Games, and I feel like you could just skip it.
So for me, I'm going to be completely honest with our listeners that I fully forgot to do this piece of our plan today. So I'm making this up off the top of my head. But like, given that I'm reading it right now and it's hitting all of the right vibes up until I think I'm like 33% of the way through the book, I would say Fourth Wing is very fun enemies to lovers territory. And it's also, I think, a safe choice if you know someone that reads adult fantasy books and like romance books, but you don't really know their exact vibe. Like you don't know them that well because it's everywhere. It's iconic. And so like, even if they've maybe read it before, if you know they don't have a copy, like they probably want a copy on their shelf. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a good call.
I have said The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. It is really, really good. It's like minimal to no spice whatsoever. However, the feelings that that book gave me during the like enemies to lovers part is so good. It's about sort of two, I want to say gangs. That's like the easiest way I can put it. The daggers in, or the thieves and the assassins basically. And he's an assassin and she's a thief. And at one point he's like, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, yes, you are.
Please
The whole
do.
premise is he's like, I'm gonna kill
Right?
her. Like, sure you are, hun. I
Nice.
believe you. So the next one we have
Amazing.
then, we have for a reader who loves sports romance. Are you guys big sports romance readers?
Not
No.
hugely. Like, don't get me wrong, I have read like a good couple, but it's not really like a genre that I tend to gravitate towards. That being said, I was obsessed. The series had me in a chokehold rather. That is the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. Now, it's like her lesser known series in comparison to like the fine print and terms and conditions. But that is all centered around Formula One. I'm not a Formula One fan, but that series was perfection. So that is probably going to be my pick for the sports girlies.
So that's interesting because I don't read sports romance at all. Like, I don't know if I've ever actually read a sports romance, which is surprising because Tessa Bailey has a few and I love Tessa Bailey. But I was going to suggest that same series because I know about it. I know it's about F1, which I love. And it's like the only sports series that I've been like, maybe that would be for me. Although I do, I can say from my friends that read spicy sports books that the Pucking Around like Emily Rath series everybody seems to be obsessed with. So maybe that one.
A couple.
Yeah.
The one that jumped immediately to my head, which is very, very popular, is the Icebreaker series by Hannah Grace. I think that one is great if you've never read a sports romance before. If you have read a sports romance before, it may be not what you're looking for because it is very much an entry into sports romance. The other one was I read Collide recently. It's a sports romance. It's very good.
Yep.
Very, very good. So that was my second.
One just popped into my head as well. Mile High, the trilogy, or not the trilogy, the series by Liz Tomfordy. Now, Mile High, don't get me wrong, probably not. It's the less good one of the series. It's still good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But the series really picks up on book 2, so that is also another edition that is a must read for sports romance fans.
Yeah, I mean, I could rec like some Quidditch fics, but unfortunately, you'd have to find them yourself to get them as a gift. So,
what about then for a reader who loves book series? So big book series, giant book series, book series with lots of books in them.
Ooh, I've got one for this. Zodiac Academy.
Yeah.
I think, it's such a vibe, especially if you have a friend who like was a Twilight girly or is like fine with things that are not, like 100% amazing, well written. Like if they don't need like an SJM level of lore, but Zodiac Academy does actually have a lot of lore and it has a really cool magic system. and just delightful bully romance vibes going on. And I am only partway through the series, but I've heard that once you get into later books, like, you will sob. So I don't know what else you could want.
So, I mean, I have two, I suppose. I could go like really off the cuff, like classic high fantasy, and recommend The Lord of the Rings. Now, The Lord of the Rings is only 3 books officially, but obviously there's also The Hobbit, and then there's the spin-offs, so like the Silmarillion. So if you're really looking to get into a classic like high fantasy series, that is definitely the one that is a good place to start. They are chunky books. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another, and I think it's kind of like a quintessential long series or giant book series that everyone, or at least all the book girlies, should be familiar with. And that is the Cassie Clare Shadowhunters series. Because there are so many books at this point. There's over 20 books at this point, and they all interlink, but they can be read separately. So yeah, that would be my recommendation, or those would be my recommendations.
I love that. I also said the Shadowhunter series because I buy them. I am still an avid Cassie Clare girly. I will always buy them. So yeah, so I said that series as well, but my other one that I had was Throne of Glass, because I mean it is like what is it, 7, 8 books in total.
Yeah. I'm actually planning to gift Throne of Glass to my niece this year, my 17-year-old niece. So
that's
she's
amazing.
finally like old enough.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so I texted her the other day and I specifically asked her like art, because I know she reads fan fiction. I try not to talk to her too much about it because I don't want to know. But like I asked her, like, do you only read fan fiction or would you want to read like physical books? And she was like, actually, I would love to have some physical books to read because like I feel like I need to read more like published stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you said that. So
and now she is being indoctrinated and she will be one of us by the end of the year.
She'll be on the pod.
Yeah, right. And then, my thought is it'll take her a while to read them. So by the time she gets to ACOTAR, it'll be like appropriate for us to talk about ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Because it's a little...
That's perfect. Yeah, Throne of Glass is a really good vibe.
That.
What about for a reader who loves cozy fantasy vibes? I immediately have 3.
Define cozy fantasy. Maybe you guys go first. I need to think about this.
Cozy fantasy for me, I immediately thought of things that don't have like big action plots. So anything that reminds me of like a cozy game. So like Stardew Valley, like you're building something, but you're not necessarily like fighting folk. So I immediately had 3, and they were The Spell Shop, Legends and Lattes, and obviously Bookshops and Boondas being the second one, and also Can't Spell Treason Without Tea.
Amazing. Those are all excellent choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything like that because everything on my shelf is like very violent or very angsty, or I think the closest I can come, and this is not really, it is fantasy, but it's monster smut, would be something like Catherine Moon books are very they're like in fantasy realms with these fantasy monsters. So for instance, Lady of Rooksgrave Manor is like pretty cozy vibes most of the way throughout. It's not really, nothing scary is happening. It's just, but it's a wide shoes and it's smutty. So like if that's the kind of cozy you're looking for, I got you. But if you're just looking for like cutesy romance vibes, that doesn't exist on this bookshelf. I'm so sorry.
What did you have, Molly?
So you've put forth some very good choices. So one I would recommend would be A Rivalry of Hearts by Tassendra Odette. She's actually on my shelf behind me at the moment, and it's probably been in the background for a while. But that one is a very cute, like, cozy romance. And then it's not particularly high stakes, and that's the reason why I'm recommending it. But the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy isn't particularly like fast paced, and I feel like it could like qualify as cozy vibes because of the magic system that is going on there. There's like tiny dragons that like roast your food, and there's like an inn in the forest that at each time of the day, or like each hour of the day, serves like a different dish, and like the house is magic, and It's just
That
really
sounds
cute, cozy
really
vibes.
nice.
Like I really enjoyed it. Yeah, right.
So cute.
So those would be my two recommendations. But I've also got I'm quite into graphic novels, but I tend to stay towards like the cozy graphic novels. And I feel like I can't not recommend Mooncakes, which was just stunning. Those are
I think
my
I've ever
recs.
heard of that, but I've never been a graphic novel girly. Do you know what I think would be so good for the graphic novel girlies though? It's the new Kindle that's colored.
Uh,
Mm,
I've heard mixed things about that one. I've heard
yeah.
people
I've
don't
heard it's
like it.
useless unless you're specifically using it for things you need color for.
Yeah, but I think there are
That
better e-readers that are color that are better priced is the thing.
that and I think they're very common for like a glitch in terms of like the colored e-ink. So
Yep.
yeah, they've like
Yeah, that's
recalled
what I've heard.
them. So I think they're doing like a
Oh
re-release.
dear.
So I don't know if they're available in the US, and I know some of our listeners are in the US, but I know here you can buy Kobus, which are like they're basically Kindles, but they're a different brand and they use, and I would suggest looking into any other e-reader brand other than Kindle actually, because what usually they do is they run Android. And because they run Android, you can still have KU and the Kindle app on the e-reader, but they tend to have like more features for the money than a Kindle, and Kindles are actually extremely limited in what they're capable of. And I mean, I have a Kindle. I love my Kindle. It's an Oasis, so it has the page turn buttons. I love that. But I would suggest trying to find like a colored e-ink reader that's like a different brand is what I would suggest, because it does seem really glitchy and it's very
Yeah.
I
expensive.
agree.
And also Amazon's customer service has
Oh,
gone
it's
way downhill in the
shocking
past couple of years.
sometimes.
So
Agreed.
it's insane.
Mm.
Moving swiftly on to
Yeah.
one that I think Molly might have put on the list, unless it was you, Crimson. But definitely Molly then. A book for readers who love ACOTAR.
I felt like
Who's
it
first?
had to be. Crimson, you
Yeah.
go first.
I have a good one for this, I think. So I would say Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. I've actually only read the first 3 or 4, and there's 5, but I think that it has very ACOTAR vibes in the sense of like you don't know anything about the world going into it, and you slowly learn lots of details about like what's going on here, and there's a bit of plot twists going on. It is a little more like Throne of Glass in the sense of you can really see the author's writing growing as the thing goes on. Like it has some pacing issues for sure. Like I would treat the first like 2 books kind of like as one book, to be honest. But it has like a really cool story. It has a very like strong FMC at the center of it, but actually she doesn't seem so strong in the beginning. Like she really has to like find herself and go through a lot of things mentally. So it's that character driven growth that you're seeing. And then also the MMC in this series, the love interest, he is delicious. Like he actually might be, if all other things were equal to SJM, he might be my favorite MMC ever, like even toppling Rhysand. But the writing doesn't quite get it there for me, and it's not that spicy. Like it's a very slow burn. But I had a lot of fun with reading that series, so I would recommend that to anyone who likes ACOTAR vibes.
Amazing. That it's been on my TBR, and I feel like it's going to have to start 2025 off with a bang.
Me too. I haven't read it yet.
I'll have to start the Plated Prisoners. Okay, I've got a couple of recommendations again, just because they take like different elements of ACOTAR. So if we're looking for something that is, you know, hitting the Beauty and the Beast retelling, the fae, the spicy elements, I've heard amazing things about Bonded by Thorns, which is a Why Choose trilogy, a series, a Why Choose series, and I've heard absolutely amazing things about that. And then if we're looking for something that is like very traditional, fae that delves really deep into the mythology elements, I'd say that Holly Black does that really well. She always hits with books that discuss fae and fairy mythology. So the Cool Prince trilogy and the spin-off Stolen Heir duology, both are excellent. And I feel like I also have to mention Law of the Wilds, because that book is also supposed to be fantastic.
Amazing.
I know, Ali, you've read it and you love it. Yeah.
I actually didn't think of that one, but that is a very, very good choice for someone who likes Avatar. I would 100% recommend it. I ended up having just one because I was going to have two, but I've chosen the other one as the book for our last prompt. So you could switch them realistically, but I have chosen Serpent and the Wings of Night. I really enjoyed Akatar when it got to like the second and third books. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first book, but I feel like that's a very common
Yeah,
but now that when I reread it, I love it. So I think it's because I know where the series is going, is because I really like it. So Serpent and the Wings of Night, I read whenever I was away in the Lake District earlier this year, and I just like binge read the whole book in the space of like a day and a half.
Amazing. Yeah.
Fab. And then the last book prompt that we have for this section is for a reader who's looking for a book that has smutty good time vibes.
Again, I feel like we can all recommend multiple books just because that's who we are. I don't think I can be on a podcast episode so far without talking about Ice Planet Barbarians. So I feel like that would be an excellent recommendation. That series is the best time in terms of smutty good time vibes, and there is an overarching plot, so it's not just, you know, spice. And they've got the most stunning editions that are being released at the moment with new art. So I highly recommend that one. And then Bride by Ali Hazelwood.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think for me, it would have to be, I've got a few. So my initial thought was, it's fine. Just give your sister-in-law Credence by Penelope Douglas. It's okay. But maybe don't. But I would say give them Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas, because it's assuming they're okay with reading like younger centered fiction, because it's not like taboo like that, and it's more like kind of a bully romance that I think is a little easier for everybody to get into than some of the other taboo stuff. And it also ties into the Devil's Night series. So if you like Punk 57, which is a standalone, you can then like go and dive into her other books with her best series by far, which is the Devil's Night series. So there's that one. The other one I thought of is the other one would be Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I think that's a roaring good time for anyone who likes smutty vibes. And and it's part of a series too, but you can also just read it by itself. So
Fab. I feel like I don't read an awful lot of books that have a lot of smut in them. So I've gone very like standard one that like you would expect, and I've gone for Fourth Wing. Mainly because obviously there's the small bit of spice that's in there is great. I really personally enjoyed it.
Shall I get the wing leader?
Shall we break the furniture? Absolutely.
Sorry, Crimson.
Crimson, you'll understand very shortly.
I believe you.
But yeah, Fourth Wing mainly as well because it was like good time vibes. So even if it's like a wee bit of smut, it's still Fourth Wing is a good time vibe. It's never will not be a good time vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one more. I have one more that's actually it's one of the ones I wanted to say. I was like, I can't remember what it is. It's actually an indie author who I love, and I know her, but her books are fantastic. Her name is L.M. Drew, and she used to be a fan fiction writer, and now she publishes indie books. And what's really cool about her books is they all include plus size representation. That's her entire thing. But they're all super smutty. They are usually involving either like wolf shifters or bear shifters or something along those lines. So her first series starts with One Night in Gararive. And then she has another like bear shifter series that starts with Owen. And so as an author, I would say go to her for smutty good times, because they're all smutty. They're all super fun. They all have good representation in them. Yeah.
When you said that she was a fanfic for author, I was like, those books are going to slap.
She's a Panville author too. So like, you know, rare pair authors are just chef's kiss.
I agree.
Sold. Okay. So how about a little bit of a game? How do we
love
feel?
a game?
Love a game. Cool. So
ready.
Who would we prefer to find under our Christmas tree? So I will give you some characters, and you guys need to help me decide who you'd rather have under your Christmas tree, and then we'll take turns.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'll start us off strong with Cassian, Lord of Bloodshed, or Azriel.
Azrael.
I actually think
100%.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Not even a hesitation.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. No one, no
Listen.
love for the
I
himbo.
love Azriel.
Listen, Azrael, we don't know what those shadows are capable of, but I want to find out.
Valid.
Also, he's quiet.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably not going to bother me when I'm reading. Like, I'm into it. I like a strong silent type.
I think I'm the same.
Yeah,
I think I'm
I
going
get
to go
that.
with Azriel as well. Because he's quiet. Cassian discusses
I can appreciate that.
things too much. He talks too much.
What would you pick, Molly?
Cassian.
Ooh, why?
Yeah, I'm all for that himbo. I love him.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Like, obviously he is intelligent and he can do his job, but he's also like doesn't have a thought behind those eyes a good 80% of the time, and he's just a large man. He's a large man. A large man with wings. So
His muscles
Cassian.
are a big bonus
Okay.
here.
Yeah. I think I was next, and I actually have a wrench to throw into the same question, which is I
Okay.
cheated a little bit, and I said Cassian or Azrael or Rhysand if you had to pick one of the three bad boys.
Rhysand.
Yeah.
Rhysand forever.
Azriel.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, a true Azzy girl.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
if it was Cassian or Rhys, I would go Rhys.
Okay.
But throwing Azriel
Yeah.
into the mix, there's just something about his shadows that I like, guys. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I
mean,
want to
Rhys
see
has
you
shadows
cosplay
too, though, it just
Gwyn.
doesn't. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You would kill a Gwyn cosplay,
I'd
actually,
give
I
it a
think.
go.
She would.
All right, Allie, you give us one.
So I feel like being a gay girly, I had to throw some women into the mix. My first one is, who would you rather have under your Christmas tree, Dorian or Manon?
Manon.
Ooh.
Manon. Also, is it Manon?
Yeah.
I can't remember her exactly. Yeah.
It's Manon.
I don't care.
As long as she's under your tree.
Dorian because of the invisible hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I respect that decision, I think. I think I prefer Manon.
It's tough. It's a tough one though.
Or Manon.
Yeah.
She's the vibe for me.
Don't even have to think about it. Manon forever. I'm obsessed with her. She could be mean to me, and I thank her for it.
She would be mean to you, and
It's
you
fine.
would thank her for it.
She would. Okay, brilliant. Next one, Xaden or Rhysand?
Xaden.
Well, I barely know him, so I have to go
You
with
won't when you
Rhysand
finish
for
the
now.
book.
I'll update you if it changes. I don't know, man. It's really hard to top Rhysand for me.
See, I've read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and it's Rhysand for me as well. Sorry. You can have
I'm
Xaden.
totally fine with that.
Is there a non-spoiler reason you can tell us why it's Xaden?
No.
Fair.
The only
right.
non-spoiler reason that I can think of is that because you know that it'll be coming anyway, is that he's a good in the bedroom department. But that's the least spoilery thing I can say.
We shall see. I will give an update as soon as I've seen the spice. Okay, so more Rhysand. Rhysand or Dorian?
Dorian.
Rhysand. Please.
I'm a Rhysand.
I feel like this is making me seem like I'm sort of like Rhysand averse.
Allie's like not really.
I actually do love him, and I would die for him, but the other options are just better in my opinion. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Now Ali's like, toss him in the bin.
Get in the recycling bin.
Throw the whole man away.
Interesting.
Get out of my swamp.
He's just a guy. Hit him with your car.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. Hit him with a weaver.
Oh.
No, he'll just send his girlfriend in for that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, Aelin or Feyre?
Feyre. I can't be dealing with Aelin. gets on my tits. Not in a good way. So yeah, Feyre.
I think Feyre is probably more adventurous, and my gay side is the tiniest bit gay. So like I need someone to like really bring it if we're gonna go that way. So Feyre.
I said Aelin. I just liked her better. I feel like Feyre makes stupid decisions because she doesn't think. Aelin thinks and still makes the stupid decisions, but at least there's thought behind her process. You know what I mean?
I feel that Feyre, like once it's all said and done, especially when you get into like Aquawar territory, when she is what she becomes, I think she kind of has more self-awareness about that.
Yeah,
I feel like
she
she's grown a bit.
definitely sort of realizes where she's lacking.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, Hunt or Rune?
Rune.
Hunt. I'm still mad at Rune. I can't say that without giving spoilers for House of Sky and Breath, but I was very angry with him at the end of that book. And in House of Flame and Shadow, he didn't exactly really apologize, and they never talked about the thing, and then everything was just fine, and I'm not fine with it. And then also, I just don't think that shooting someone is a necessary way to slow them down. You know, like I have some issues with Rune. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, that's valid. That's
just
fine.
Like him.
I understand your thought process.
Also, I am a huge sucker for wings, and Hunt has wings, and he uses them to like flirt and nudge Bryce all the time, and I think that's adorable.
That is cute.
So
it is. I am also a Rune girly. So yeah.
Fair.
Amazing. And what about you, Crimson?
All right, I had to pull a little fanfic into it. So, keeping in mind that we're speaking about the fan fiction version of these characters, Draco Malfoy or Sirius Black?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you got to pick one.
I am going to say something that is probably going to be quite controversial. It's going to be Draco because I'm not a big Sirius Black fan.
Ooh, not a fan.
I'm not saying that I don't like him and I don't appreciate him, but I'm not a big fan of him. And if I was going to choose a marauder that I love, it's always going to be Lupin.
Yeah, Remus. Yeah.
Remus Lupin is my ride or die. But I'm not a big fan of Sirius Black. And it's probably because of my love for Severus Snape.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, makes sense.
This is really
for you,
hard.
Allie.
This is really hard because I have read some very good fan fictions of both of them, and that is really annoying. I'm leaning towards Sirius, but Sirius before the age of like 25. But also,
sure.
Draco is so nice. I don't know, guys. I hate this. I'm gonna say Sirius for this one.
You can have him, babe.
Who did you pick, Crimson?
So I would pick Draco Malfoy 100% every time, all the time. He's like my original book boyfriend. I love him. I'm obsessed with his platinum blonde hair and his smirk and his like snarky attitude. Like every version of Draco Malfoy is my favorite. I love him.
I love that for you guys.
Valid.
That's me. I'm always going to be a Hermione girly through and through. And if it's not Hermione, it's Drarry and everything else comes after that. So
this one is actually targeted at Molly. You obviously can pick this too, but I feel like I know who your choice is going to be. But I chose this because I feel like it's going to give Molly stress, and I'm really curious about her answer. Hermione or Snape?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, that, I mean. So I'm picking Hermione.
I thought you might, yeah.
I love Hermione. She's a vamp. Yeah. I do like Snape, though. I'm not a Snape hater.
No, me neither. I chose Snape for this one.
Okay, I obviously am choosing Snape because that man. But I really don't feel like I need to justify it. But at the same time, like, Hermione is always like the self-insert character.
Yeah.
So like me saying I'd want her under the Christmas tree feels weird. Not gonna say that like I don't appreciate her, because as Crimson finally pointed out, she is a bamf, a badass motherfucker. So yeah. But Snape forever. I mean, I've got for the YouTube, I've got an always tattoo, so it would be kind of like stupid for me to say anything else.
Interesting. I was really curious.
Also, thank you.
I was just so curious about what your answer would be.
I mean, if you had asked me the same thing about Hermione, like I would still have picked Draco because I'm just obsessed with that man. And like you said, like in those scenarios, Hermione is a bit more of a self-insert. So if the thing that I'm reading is a slight self-insert with a Draco Malfoy, like then yeah, I'm picking Draco Malfoy.
Fair.
So.
I love that.
Okay, so the very last segment of today's pod is just a quick fire bookish present guide for the bookish besties in your life. Obviously, books are great presents, but sometimes you want something that isn't books, and we are going to help you out with that a bit. So I will start us off. I will just name a couple of things. I say a couple, there are quite a few. Things that you can get for your loved one that would be amazing to receive in a stocking or as a present. So bookmarks are always a good present, whether they're paper, card, metal, however way you have it. If you've got a book lover who reads physical editions, they need a bookmark. Don't let them dog-ear their pages.
So true.
Okay, no dogging it. No dogging.
Friends don't let friends dog ear. The dogging is fine, honestly. Like y'all do what you want, you know?
Oh god. Okay.
You heard it here first. No dogging at Christmas.
Moving right on. Okay. So yes, bookmarks. Following. Blind dates with a book. So this is kind of like a caveat to buying a book for your loved one, but a blind date with a book is obviously a book, but they don't know what it is. They do themes, they do different genres. They often include things like bookmarks, like page tabs, stickers, all these wonderful things. Bookish merch is obviously up there, including replicas, bookish t-shirts, clothing, sweatshirts, socks. This can be bookish specifically, as in themed around reading, but it could also be fandom themed clothing. So you can get some ACOTAR fans in your life, some Recent or Lord of Bloodshed merch. I'm sure they'd appreciate that.
I saw one that was Abraxas's seed company, like for flower seeds.
I love
that.
I
might get it.
I want that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Kindle cases or Kindle sleeves. But saying that, book sleeves as well. Something to protect your reader's chosen format for reading. And they do some really cute ones.
Yeah, especially if you have a friend who they don't like breaking the spine, they will love a book sleeve. I love a book sleeve because it does help you from getting the edges of your paperbacks messed up when you're traveling with it.
Yeah, there's some really cute ones on Etsy, and not only will you be getting your loved one a gift that they will use every day, but you're also supporting a small business. So I highly recommend that. In that same vein, bookish stickers. There are so many shops on Etsy that are amazing for book stickers. Whether it's to hoard like a dragon and never use because you have commitment issues putting stickers on things, or putting them on the back of your Kindle. However you put it, bookish stickers are amazing. And then my last recommendation for your loved ones is a bookish box subscription. So companies like Illumicrate or FairyLoot or Owlcrate, they all let you purchase subscriptions for around Christmas time for your loved one. So you can sign them up for like a 3-month trial, a 6-month trial, 12-month trial. It's great. And it means that they'll not only be getting books, but they'll also be getting bookish merch. And you're giving them a year-long gift.
I love that idea.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm a person I don't have any bookish box subscriptions because I'm too what if I end up not liking it and I've wasted all this money? But if you got one for me, I would
Your
be in
other
love with that
option
person
is if
forever,
you don't
like,
want to
for sure.
subscribe to one, especially
100%.
whenever they're sold out all the time, you could make one. I saw someone do this on TikTok, and I cannot
I love
remember
that.
who it was, but they got like something like 12 shoe boxes, and they put a book in every single one and some little bits on, like, you know, like candles or like a mug or some like tea or whatever. And they gave all 12 to them, to their partner at once, and then every month through the year of whatever next year was, they've got to open one.
That
That's
is adorable. That is amazing. That is such a sweet gift. Okay, what about you, Ali?
Okay, yeah, so on my list of Christmas gifts, I have things for your bookshelf that aren't books. So bookends, so, you know, like crystal bookends, or
Love
you can
that.
get like handmade bookends
I
on
love that.
Etsy, specifically jellycats. I have a
Yes.
jellycat moon and a jellycat egg, and I also have a jellycat penguin and an elephant all on my bookshelf, and they make me so happy.
I am desperate for a Jellycat dragon.
Me too.
I
need
almost
one.
bought one today while I was at the patisserie because they also have just like the Jellycat section, and the dragon was so cute, but he was huge, so like he won't fit on my bookshelf, the one that they had. But maybe they have a smaller version.
I
don't
really
know.
do want one. I
But he
would
was so
love
cute.
one.
He was like navy blue, so
I
he
love
felt
that.
very
I
Fourth Wing
really
vibes
want
to me.
the
Like,
turquoisey
it's
one with the
perfect.
red, like the burgundy like spikes.
I want the lavender one.
That is a very you gift.
Oh, you guys, I was having a fever dream. That's not real. That was a Pegasus. That was a navy blue Pegasus.
I think we should
Not
buy
a dragon.
We should buy Crimson, a mythical animal guide for Christmas.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, jellycats for the bookshelf,
Carry on.
especially like the moons and the suns and the stars. Like, they're so cute.
Yeah,
anything with legs, anything that has legs that can hang over the side of your bookshelf.
They dangle.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also think that's such a good idea about like moons and stars, because I think almost every fantasy girly is into celestial stuff too.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
100%. The next thing I have on my list is a book nook. So the little things that you can put on your bookshelf, and then you build them.
Yeah.
Yes. John bought me one for Christmas 2 years ago now, and I love that thing. They take longer to build than you expect, but it's so like cathartic and therapeutic to like sit there and do it, and it was so cute.
I would love
loved it.
one that's like cafe themed, like a coffee shop
Oh,
themed one.
yes. Yeah.
Mine was like you've probably seen it advertised. It's the little Japanese alleyway with the canal.
Yeah,
and the
I know
cherry
exactly what you
blossoms,
mean.
and that was especially meaningful because John used to live in Japan, so it was like something for me, but that like kind of represented him a little bit. It was really cute. Yeah,
that's sweet.
I have a book light, so like either one that clips onto the back of your book, or even one that clips onto like the bed, or, you know, worst comes to worst, get one that you can put on your head.
I had this on my list too, actually. Yes.
There are the ones that slip into your
they look
book.
like pages, and you like
yeah,
and they're clear. Yeah.
So I really want one of those because I have the kind that clips on the back, but it bends the back cover, and I don't like that. But the thing is that I was like a reading at night on my Kindle girly, but these days I read so many physical books that it's like I want to be able to read them in bed. So
yeah.
I have candles and wax melts that are themed.
Yeah.
And
I've got some behind me. Highly recommend.
You have loads, don't you?
I do. I
love a bookish candle.
I do love a bookish candle.
I would never burn them. I'd be too scared to burn them.
Yeah, these ones.
Why? Because they're near the books?
No, just because.
No, they're just like too
Yeah, they're
special.
too special.
The thing is, I'm in such a small space, and I already have some really nice Dior candles. Obviously, I don't burn. Although
like,
John
I don't want to burn them.
time. I don't think he knows the difference.
I would also probably likely burn my house down.
Don't do that.
No, don't.
And the last thing I have on my,
especially because you're living with your fairy.
Yeah, true. The last thing I have on my list then is a bookish cookbook. Have you guys seen these? Where people have created a lot of them are on Etsy though. A lot of them are like handmade on Etsy, and they're like.
Molly's doing a series from a bookish cookbook, right?
Yeah, I've got the Tolkien one.
I think they're so cute. You can get them for loads of different series. I know for a fact you can get obviously the one that Molly has, and you can definitely get them for Harry Potter.
I think the Song of Ice and Fire one it might not be officially licensed, but I think that it was like meticulously researched.
Yeah.
So like they know pretty clearly that this is the kind of stuff they would be. So
there
that's
is an
really
ACOTAR
cool.
one. Like there's a Sarah J Maas one that someone on Etsy is creative, and I kid you not,
That's
someone has like
amazing.
made a soup recipe,
That's
like as
amazing.
in like Feyre's soup that she gives to Reese.
Well, it's got
I
to
need to
start
check
with
that
like
out.
cream and mushroom, right? Like it's just canned soup. So
Soup with bougie characteristics.
I mean, the cookbooks are great because there's the bookish ones, but they have them for all types of like fans in your life. So people that are like fandom favorites. So they have them for like video games. I've got a Gilmore Girls one. Like there's so many different types of cookbooks for people that just love series.
there's also I don't know if people would have watched the recent what is it called, like the Culinary Class Wars. It's like a Korean reality cooking show, and there's a guy in there who his entire restaurant, their whole thing is that he only cooks things that are out of manga. And so like
That's so cool. Yeah.
and I think he said he started on with like there were cookbooks about like how do you make these things that are in
the Studio
manga and stuff.
Ghibli one? I would kill for that cookbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like and maybe like the
Yeah.
ramen that like Ponyo eats and stuff. Like I would die for that cookbook.
I also think it's good to point out a lot of bookish people I know, at least, including myself, like we get obsessive over things, right? So some of us get obsessive about different like cooking people. So like I'm kind of obsessed with Claire Sapphics and I have her cookbook. And so like that can be good too if you know that they watch a lot of a certain person. A lot of times those people have cookbooks, and it's just like a beautiful thing to have on the shelf that'll make them happy. Yeah.
I love that.
That is all of my bits and bobs. Crimson, what do you have on your list?
So I have a few different things. I have a tote. I think any real bookish girl, we need something to hold all of our books when we go to the bookstore. So I think a really nice canvas tote with like a flat bottom is really nice. Like a lot of times you give someone a tote and it's like just two pieces of fabric sewn together. It needs to have a real bottom.
Something to hold them.
Yeah, something a little sturdy for sure. I think. And you can find all kinds that are like themed or that are more subtle depending on the vibe of the person you're buying for. I also think a really nice thing is a lot of serious readers are trying to track what they're reading. So a book journal can be a nice thing for that, especially to like write down how you felt about the book. I also think like bookish cookware or bookish dishes, like mugs, can be really nice. I think like there's so many fun mugs that are like subtle, and especially if they're a girly who's on Book Talk, like everybody loves holding their bookish mug with her on camera. And then I think Allie was telling me that there's a lot of really interesting like glass straw options too. For people who are into like the Stanley tumblers and all that kind of stuff. And that's another thing, like water bottles with straws or big Stanley tumblers, because we are sitting there for hours and we need to hydrate.
I'm a Stanley girl.
Important.
I am a real Stanley girl.
I am too.
Yeah. I'm not a Stanley girl because to-go drinks are not a thing in France. Like it's kind of frowned upon. But I do have like a big water bottle that I use at home. So there's that. And then the last thing that I think we haven't mentioned yet is, when in doubt, a gift card to their favorite bookstore or an Etsy gift card are always a good idea, because the truth is we gave a lot of great book recs at the beginning of the episode, but if you don't actually know what kinds of things they read, if they haven't talked to you about it, do not make an assumption that they must like what everybody else likes. Reading tastes are so subjective, and they will appreciate so much more like a really a good gift card. And also, like, think about how much money it actually costs to buy books. Don't make it like $20. It's gonna buy like 1 or 2 paperbacks. Like, that's not enough.
Or that they don't already have those books.
Exactly. Or Etsy can be really good too, because then they have access to all kinds of handmade bookish merch from like, different small businesses. So that can be really cool. And by the way, I say this as, like I said earlier in the episode, I'm getting someone an 8-book box set for Christmas, and I have no idea if she really likes fantasy, but we'll find out.
I have an option we haven't thought of. If you think that there is if you know that there is a book that they really, really like, you know, like Fourth Wing or, you know, ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, get a rebound copy of it from Etsy. Have you seen, like, you know, the fantasy ones that are like personalized and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Or like where they take it and it's the same binding, but they custom spray the edges. Things like that are nice.
100%. Yeah.
Although I will say, as we're talking about rebinding, something we should point out, because we know a lot of bookish people who are just getting into fan fiction. Do not buy bound
Don't
fanfiction.
bloody do it.
Don't do it.
Do it. Don't ruin
The
it.
money, first of all, doesn't go to the writers anyway. But second of all, it is highly illegal and you are jeopardizing the entire fanfic community. Not just the fandom that you're in, but all of it. And also, they are prevalent on Etsy and TikTok shops. Do not fall for it. Do not buy it. Don't do it.
And if you're really keen on having bound fan fiction, get your loved ones the stuff they need to do it for themselves.
Exactly.
Or do it for them if you have enough time and skill.
Or do it for them. Or, if you're, if they are really in the community, they probably know somebody who binds it, and you can bind it as gifts. So, like, they know how to do that if they really, really want to, in a way that's not going to hurt anybody, where they, like, have a friend bind it for them, and maybe they do something else for them or something, where it's, like, not an illegal thing. But paying money for bound fanfic is absolutely an important thing to do. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Agreed. Yeah. And on that note, I feel like we should call it a day, because this episode is long.
Yeah. We have lots to say.
We do have lots to say.
We just love Christmas.
We do.
Okay, well, as usual, you can find all our socials. They're listed all below. And we will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.